Hello and welcome to Week 5 Learning Module. Our case study will feature a stroke patient with long-term goals of returning to drive. This patient has given consent for release of all medical information and video recording. Over the last few weeks, you began to develop skills for screening patients for driving through the pre-work applications, discussion posts, small group reflections, and live classroom. Now we'll utilize the knowledge learned and apply it to this case study. As you view, I will prompt you to notice various aspects, but I also invite you to use your own observations and critical reasoning skills and make notes as necessary. This experience is meant to provide a framework for the thinking process you must go through when making recommendations for returning to drive. We will have an opportunity to reflect and discuss as a group in our final live classroom session. Objectives for today are to be able to use clinical reasoning to describe 2 driving risk factors of sensory motor dysfunction, to identify 2 impairment areas and explain the impact on the IADL of driving, and to explain the process of returning to drive for a patient requiring adaptive equipment. Mike Lynch is a 69-year-old male, married, 3 grown children, 6 grandchildren. He was independent prior to the stroke, and he is a local retired sports broadcaster who currently hosts a sports podcast. He lives locally in the suburbs north of Boston, drives in these local areas, and also had previously driven in Florida where he spends the winters. Mike was diagnosed with a left hemorrhagic stroke in May of 2022 with resultant right hemiparesis. He spent a week at Mass General Acute Care Hospital before being transferred to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital, where he spent close to 100 days. He did have some complications of right upper extremity pain, right lower extremity spasms, and insomnia. Outpatient therapy was initiated immediately upon discharge from inpatient rehab. He received OT, PT, and speech beginning in August of 22 through January of 23 at a wheelchair level for community distance, ambulatory level on a rollator within the home. He accessed his home via a ramp and was able to access the second floor bed and baths through a chairlift. He did spend the winter in Florida upon his discharge in January, returning in June of 2023 to a Spalding satellite facility, initiating OT and PT at an ambulatory level with the rollator, and the ramp had been removed from his home. I received an order for a pre-driving assessment in October of 2023. In this first video clip, you will see me interview Mike and gather information about his occupational profile. I utilize this time to build rapport with the patient and learn more about their goals and what is important to them. Hi Mark, my name is Amy. I'm an occupational therapist and certified driving rehabilitation specialist, and I'm going to be working with you today.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Amy.
Great. Can you tell me a little bit about why you're here today?
Well, I had a stroke in May of 2022, and I've been progressing every day, walking, doing more things, and a lot of people have encouraged me to try to drive, and so here I am. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Where are the places you want to be able to drive to?
I want to be able to drive locally around my town if I have to do an errand. I want to be able to go visit my mother who lives up in Swampscott. I want to be able to go up there and come back. That means driving on Route 128. I want to be able to go basically anywhere I want to be able to go.
Okay. Any out-of-state driving?
Sure, why not? I got some people that are out of state. They want me to come visit. I'm ready to go.
Okay. And what about, do you vacation in the winter anywhere?
Yeah, in the winter I go to Florida.
Okay.
My wife and I go, and so I'd like to be able to drive down there as well.
Okay. And tell me any car accidents in the last year that you drove?
Knock on wood, if we have anything knock on my head right here, but no, I have not.
Okay. Any traffic violations or stops?
None.
So overall, good driving record?
Knock on wood again, yes.
Yeah. And how important is driving to you?
Well, it's another step of independence and freedom. My wife has been a saint, driving me everywhere, and she's come with me to physical therapy, occupational therapy, and I just want to be able to, if I want to get down and get a gallon of milk or pick up something at Walgreens, I want to be able to do it myself.
Definitely. Excellent.
Any recent falls?
No, I had in January I had one fall. I had some surgery on my wrist,
Okay.
and I had another fall which happened. Unfortunately, the grab bar on the shower gave way. But I wasn't in the shower yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't really your fault.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. No injuries with that?
None. No.
Okay. Any changes to your medications?
No.
Okay. You do take medication that helps you sleep?
Occasionally. I don't have that much because I feel it makes me a little groggy.
That's what I was going to ask. How do you feel in the morning?
Yeah, I feel groggy, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to do without it.
Okay. All right. Very good. Do you have any questions about the process to return to driving with adaptive equipment?
I'm really looking forward to it. I assume that I start indoors on a simulator, and then I take driving lessons, and then work my way up, and sort of, if I pass a test, we go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take it one event at a time.
Right. So today we'll do the pre-drive assessment.
Okay.
If all goes well, we'll move on to an on-road assessment where we use a vendor. They come, we put the adaptive equipment into the vehicle, and we go for a ride looking for your potential to be able to drive with adaptive equipment. It also gives us a framework for how many lessons we'll recommend, because you'll need some training to learn how to use the equipment. The training also provides the knowledge that you need to pass that R&D competency test, again at the registry.
Right.
It's the same test you took when you were 16 and a
Right.
half, but essentially you'll be doing it with adaptive equipment. And then from there, what will happen is we'll write recommendations for the equipment to be installed into the vehicle. A mobility vendor will provide that service for you, and then after that, you'll be driving.
Good. Sounds like a long process, but with everything I've been doing since I've had the stroke, I just focus on the next task in front of me, and that's going to be with the simulator, right?
The brake reaction.
The brake reaction,
Yeah,
I
that's
call it
one
simulator.
piece of the
Yeah,
task. Yep,
good.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the video, you really got a sense of how excited Mike is about the idea of being able to independently drive again. Overall, when you're doing a patient intake, you want to get a sense of making sure that the patient's goals are realistic for them. And it's very important to gather information regarding the risk factors. So really investigating medications thoroughly, asking about driving history, accidents, falls. Do they have any reports from family members? If a family member comes in with them, and obviously if the patient consents to them participating, you can ask about any kind of accidents or driving history, or if there are any concerns from family. If it's unlikely that this patient will achieve their goals, if you have some reservations, which sometimes happens based on the diagnosis and the immediate presentation, if the patient's really able to give you an accurate history, you get a sense of whether or not they're going to be able to reach their goals. So you want to make sure that you're having a realistic conversation about the challenges of returning to driving, as it is such a high-level executive functioning task. The pre-drive assessment was completed 17 months post-stroke. The right lower extremity AFO had been discharged, and he was demonstrating some overall limited endurance. He is also a right upper extremity dominant person. The next clip will focus on physical abilities. It is modified for time to highlight the most important factors that contribute to the decision-making process. Please note right upper extremity tonal influences as he's demonstrating his lower extremity coordination tasks.
Let's just look at how your arms and legs move,
Okay.
and we'll start with your head. So you're going to look over each shoulder.
Okay. This way.
Okay. And then from your trunk, we could try to look into the back seat. Great. And left arm, we'll just quickly run through it. No pain anywhere, right?
Nope.
Okay, so you're pretty much doing everything with your left arm.
Yeah.
And then let's see you touch your fingers. Good. And you're independent with bathing and dressing?
Yes.
Okay. And good. And can you do that with your right?
I can.
Can you do them both together? Good. And show me how your right arm moves. Okay. And can you touch back your head? And back out of the side. And in front. What types of functional tasks are you doing with your arm?
I'm picking objects up. For instance, opening a medicine bottle.
You're stabilizing with the right,
Yeah.
turning with the left?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Shaving cream, holding the toothbrush, putting the toothpaste on
Okay.
the toothbrush, and more and more
So
things.
you're brushing with your left hand then?
With my left hand.
Yeah. Okay. So still working on the motor control.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And let's just look at your right leg. Can you show me how you kick out your right leg? And
Yes.
yep. And then lift your leg up and back down. And then how about your foot? Are you able to? And then how about heel, toe, heel, toe? So one of the issues with driving after you've had a stroke and your right side is affected with tone and impaired mobility is that you don't have the reaction time and the control to be able to manipulate the steering wheel and the gas to the brake. So we would be looking at your left pedal, left pedal accelerator, and also a knob for your left. You'll steer with your left hand due to you have some nice movement, but the tone is definitely impairing your ability to use it as more like a functional assist.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic that you're using it to stabilize and to assist, but at this point for driving for safety, you'd be looking at adaptive equipment.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd be just the same thing I used to do with my right foot, I'd be doing with my left foot.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Factors contributing to the decision to recommend adaptive equipment was the influence of tone in the right upper extremity, lower extremity, which was evident with range of motion. You could also see that increased tone in the right upper extremity when he performed the lower extremity coordination tasks. This video did not show sensation testing, which was impaired. It's also important to explain the reasoning behind the decision you make for the patient to ensure their understanding and agreement with the recommendations. Other pre-drive assessment results included vision and cognition, both within functional limits. He received a Category 1 on the Useful Field of View test, which is a test for visual processing speed. Category 1 indicates a very low crash risk. His brake reaction time was tested with his left lower extremity, and he received a 0.74. His knowledge of the rules of the road were also intact. His main limiting factors was the right upper extremity, lower extremity impaired neuromuscular status. There are times when patients will need to see how their impairment will present for the actual functional task. When it comes to brake reaction time, patients may convince themselves that because they knew how to drive, their leg will just react as they think it's supposed to. This next video will provide an opportunity for the patient to see how the right lower extremity will perform when he expects it to react quickly.
So basically what we're going to do is look at your right foot.
Yep.
That's the gas, that's the brake. You're going to accelerate and keep your speedometer in the green zone, and as soon as you see the soccer ball coming down the road, you'll lift your foot from the gas and hit the brake as hard as you can, as if a child's running in front of your car. It's an emergency type situation.
Okay. So nothing's happening now.
My fault. Go ahead. Okay, how did that feel?
I think I missed the break when I went over.
Yeah. And you also looked down.
Yes.
So in this, I mean, it was probably about 3 seconds. It didn't record it because you weren't able to actually hit that brake hard enough.
Okay.
Let's try one more time.
Yep.
You don't have to go as high. This level shelf.
Okay.
Okay.
So that one was a little bit better.
Yep.
I didn't have you look down at your
Yep.
foot, but it was really high up on the actual brake. So
Okay.
let's try one more.
I'm trying to float my arm. Yeah, and the second one.
Beautiful. Okay, look down at your foot and see where it is.
Yeah.
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 So the impaired sensation, as well as the coordination, the tone in the leg, this makes this
Yeah.
an unsafe
Yeah.
means to gas a brake. And if we look at the Yeah, it's over a second. We're looking for 0.75 or faster, so
Right.
you're almost at a second and a half there. So the left leg really is the best means for driving for safety.
Yeah, you're right, because I don't have any sensation, so I can't tell how hard I'm hitting the accelerator or the brake pedal.
And we knew that your right leg really wasn't going to be able to do this, but I think sometimes it's important to patients to try it.
Right.
So just to note that what this experience feels.
Now that you've had an opportunity to view aspects of this pre-drive assessment, as well as listen to some of the facts, I'd like you to take some time to reflect. You can pause the video and make a list of impairment areas that may impact driving, and thoughts on whether or not you would recommend an on-road assessment based on what information you have. And what other ideas or questions do you have? I'd like to review the process to drive with adaptive equipment, and as a reminder, these are the steps necessary if you're following best practice standards for returning to drive in Massachusetts. First, you will participate in the pre-drive assessment, then the on-road assessment, then you'll complete training with the CDRS in the vehicle. You will then successfully complete an RMV competency test, and at that time, the CDRS would then be able to write recommendations for the mobility vendor to modify the vehicle. Once that is completed, the person is driving. If you recommended that Mike participate in an on-road assessment, I agree with you. That is what he did, and he did that 2 weeks following his pre-drive assessment. We used a left pedal accelerator and a spinner steering knob placed at 10 o'clock on the steering wheel. He did demonstrate potential to use the adaptive equipment, and we recommended 4 hours of training with the CDRS to learn how to use the equipment and to practice the maneuvers he would need to demonstrate competency in for his RMV test. He successfully completed his RMV test in December of 2023, 19 months post-stroke. In this picture in Mike's vehicle, you see that I've circled the left pedal accelerator in red. You see that the right original gas pedal is still in the vehicle. How this works is that when Mike gets in the car and turns on the ignition, he has 30 seconds to press a button, which would activate the left pedal accelerator and deactivate the right accelerator. It's essentially a safety feature so that you're making a conscious effort for whoever the driver is to drive either with your left leg or your right leg. This enables an able-bodied driver to be able to use this vehicle in the event that it's a shared family vehicle, or if you drop your vehicle off for service. It's essentially a safety feature. In our next video, we're going to get to see Mike actually using the adaptive equipment in his vehicle.
All right, we're getting ready to come out right across from the Midford Police Station. Cars coming out of Midford Square, and away we go. Where do you want to go? You want to go around the block? Okay, yeah.
Not this one with Thomas.
Up to Pinky's. Right now I have the foot lightly on the gas pedal. Go to the brake because the cars in front of me have stopped.
Did you notice the tonal influence of the right upper extremity when he first started driving? If not, go back and watch it again. That last video was really apparent how happy Mike is now that he has achieved his long-term goal of returning to drive. A follow-up as of July 2024, Mike reinitiated OTPT at Spalding Satellite in June of 2024. He did report to his OT that his right foot was drifting underneath the brake pedal and getting caught at times. I took a look at it when we went out and I did not see it happen. We talked about the influence of tone and fatigue, and he does have good insight to it. He is very much so aware of it. The team will talk to the doctor about it, and also I placed a call to the mobility dealer, and they're having him come in to take a look at it from a mechanical aspect to see if there's any kind of modification that can be done. In this next video, I'd just like to share a message from Mike.
Any closing thoughts or current concerns about anything related to driving?
You know, it's another chapter in your life. It's a great undertaking, and it just gives you a sense of self-confidence and independence that I didn't have for a long time after the stroke happened. I thought that I was just going to be helpless and hopeless and dependent on other people, and now I'm free as a bird.
That's great.
I'd like to close with some takeaways. Patient intake questions are designed to get to know the patient and establish rapport, but more importantly, you're trying to identify key risk factors that are going to help you in the decision-making process. Medications, falls, driving histories, what supports do they have? It's also important to recognize when adaptive equipment may be necessary to achieve the goal versus waiting for neuromuscular recovery. You also want to take the time to fully explain the process. Patients need to fully understand the multiple steps that are involved and also the financial implications of this process, which we will discuss in more detail in our follow-up live classroom session. This example was very successful, but not all drives will be. You need to make sure that you're preparing your patients that there is the possibility that the goal may not be achieved. Also, patient and team communication is vital. And lastly, driving is an IADL that OTs play a very valuable role in.